everyone, welcome to Flexibility Script. This video is going to be going into some active flexibility mobility exercises for your hips, specifically to help improve hip external rotation. So sometimes there's movements like squats that really benefit from if you have good hip external rotation in order to drive out and sink into the squat. In the world of yoga, there's a move called the pigeon pose that also involves the need to have a lot of hip external rotation. And if you were to just take one leg, for example, and bring it up so that you're about to sit cross-legged, but you kind of stop and where that ankle rests right on it, and just kind of check out where that knee falls, and that's a good open hip external rotation. And the more it's limited, the more you'll see that when you relax, like that your leg is in this position, or maybe that when you pick up that you kind of have to help yourself come up and can't comfortably get into that position. So things like that are ways to check it out. You can also lift up the leg and kind of play and see that's hip internal rotation. So hip external rotation is coming in this way here, and you can kind of check and see which side may be more limited, to know which side to do, and if they both need help, go and do both of these, both legs I should say. This is going to be, I'm going to be focusing in on my right leg, and it really helps if you have something like a yoga block or something that you can amp up, maybe a couple of books or some pillows. But a yoga block tends to work really well, which is why I like it, because as you keep improving mobility, maybe you're here to start off, and then you can bump it up to be here, and then you can bump it up to be a little bit taller. So there are some typical stretches that are sometimes done for the hip where you're in this position here and you're gently pushing down, or you could end up laying on your back, for example, and that you take the leg and you cross it and you're pulling it in to open up all the muscles that help hip external rotation. So muscles like the TFL, plantar fascia lata, glute medius, glute minimus. So this exercise, this active flexibility exercise, really takes you from this position. Instead of being on your back, you're doing the same thing, but you're coming from a side angle here, but we're still going to be working that hip in the same way, except it's no longer on our back side. So I'm going to be getting into a side lying position. If I wanted to make it a little easier, I can end up laying down as I do these exercises, or I can bump it up, and usually most people feel really comfortable there, just watching out that rib cage kind of stays nice and up and doesn't sink down, because if you're up, you'll be able to brace a bit better for the amount of activeness that these exercises require, and the more you'll be better able to brace in this position as opposed to being sunken in. If you wanted to intensify it more, the taller you get, the more load there is going down into the hip, making these exercises be a little bit harder. So to start off, it's nice to see how much range of motion you actively have. So I'm laying down on my side, elbows underneath my shoulder. My knee is going to be lining up so that it's right in line with the hip, and this leg is straight out. This leg, I like to usually keep a little bit of a glute squeeze, and I want to make sure that it is nice and stacked, meaning it's not falling backwards. It's kind of right in line with the other hip. To start off, I want to see how much I have to start, and that way I can see once I'm all done what it looks like at the very end. So I'm going to flex this toe up, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to actively lift that leg up into hip external rotation and back down. May go for about 5 of these, kind of warming up all the tissue that I'm about to both stretch and then get to work as well. So this is 4. And this is 5, and now once I'm here, I kind of see where I'm at, and I may place a yoga block down here, or I could probably start here, but I'm going to play a little safer and be a little kinder and start a little bit lower. Now what's going to happen here is this bit of contract, relax type of work, where I'm going to be pushing down into the block for 5 seconds, And then after I'm done pushing down, I'm going to try to lift my leg off the block and use that range of motion that I gained, but use it actively instead of passively, and hold that new endpoint for 5 seconds. So it comes from the world of KinStretch or functional range conditioning, and are called Pails and rails. So what I'm going to be doing is this foot's going to flex up, and I'm going to be thinking about pushing down without letting this knee come up as I push down. As I push down, I slowly ramp up the intensity of how much I'm pushing. So as I count down to 5 seconds, I'll go from like a 10-20%. When I count to 4, I'm at like a 20 to 40%, then 40 to 60, 60 to 80, till by the last second, I'm really thinking about trying to break that block and trying to create as much tension, and then I'll slowly ramp back down. So it looks like I'm gonna start pushing down, and I just wanna make sure that knee doesn't come up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I slowly ramp back down. And then from there, I'm gonna see if I can lift up and hold that for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to take that block and I'm going to go ahead and readjust it to a better height there. And I'm going to do the same thing and go for 3. I usually go anywhere from 3 to 5 contractions to get a full end point. And then from here again, same thing. I usually have my foot and like a little bit of my ankle placed on the block. And then again, I'm going to think about pushing down into the block, contracting all the tissues on this side here for 5, 4, 3, and then keep ramping it up, 2, 1, and then I slowly ease off. And then from here, I'm going to actively think about bringing that leg up and hold that for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I'm going to readjust the yoga block, and I'm up a little bit higher now. Now last one, same thing. I'm going to think about pushing down, and as I keep going up, it's going to get more likely that I'm going to want to do that as I push down, and I keep trying to resist that urge. Sometimes I can put like a little tennis ball right underneath that that thigh, and that way I can kind of have something there having me actively push into that ball while pushing down and make sure I don't come up. So again, same thing. Then glute squeeze brace. I'm going to start pushing down for 5, 4, 3. I'm ramping it up. 2, 1, and then I slowly ease off that tension. And I'm going to lift, hold that for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I relax. And then if I go back to where I started and where I ended, I'll see with those 5 reps that I initially started off with, I'll see the improvement of where I started, maybe a little here to where I'm at now, and I'll see that improvement in range of motion. Now I love to chase this with getting to where I am at my passive endpoint. So getting to where I have range of motion passively, then trying to create some tension and hold that passive endpoint, trying to create some strength in that range of motion. So what tends to happen is that right where I ended actively, I usually will have a little bit more on the passive side. So as I bring it up, there I am actively, I can grab a hold of my ankle here. I usually keep my elbow into my side for a little bit of stability, and I'll pull that leg up, and that's me now not using my muscles, just kind of passively pulling it in, and I see that I have good range of motion, and my goal is to see if I can get some strength through that range of motion. And maybe that as soon as I let my hand go, that I may end up slowly falling back to where I ended actively, but at least I'm starting to create some strength in my passive ranges to create a really strong hip and really strong hip and external rotation. So I'm grabbing a hold. I'm going to find that passive endpoint. I usually find flexing my foot will help create a little bit more ability to create tension up the chain. So I'm finding that endpoint, flex my foot. I'm going to get really braced, glute squeeze and contract, and I'm going to let go and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then I'll grab a hold again. And then usually on the second part, I usually will find I'm able to come up a bit more. Same thing, I'm going to try to create some strength through that passive end hold here. So I'm going to flex my foot, glute squeeze, contract, brace everything, and let go and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. And then one more time. Do you see as I keep trying to hold it, I'm really doing my best to keep it up towards myself, but you'll see it slowly start lowering, and that's okay. So I'm gonna flex up my last time here, last attempt, find that passive end point. I'm there, squeeze, glute squeeze, brace, create tension, all out, and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and done. So from there, I really, if I was to recheck it, I usually have a little bit more range of motion, and I am truly owning everything in that hip. It's not just all passive, so I really work actively to improve the range of motion and hold it, and along with training that passive to try to hold on any passive flexibility, to try to hold it on actively. And the more you can create some strength through the hip and the passive ranges of motion, the better chance you are to be able to prevent injury and really make a strong hip. And the more you can have that passive range of motion be active range of motion, the better health of your joints and specifically your hip here too. So usually I go through that series where I do a couple of pails and rails. That's me pushing down and then actively trying to lift up. After I do some rounds there, I finish it all off with getting into that passive end point and then trying to see if I can keep as much of that passive end point and make that passive end point be active. So give it a shot. It definitely is work. It feels like a workout to the hip. You may break a sweat, and at the end of it you'll feel a lot of blood flow to your hip joint. It should feel like you've activated all the muscles deep in the hip, and while at the same time you've made everything nice and open and mobile, but again you will end up owning it all, which is great and easy to build up on and progress into more movement that requires hip external rotation and staying safe in those ranges. So give it a shot. Bye.